Yo ho mateys, and welcome back to Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows. This time we're going to be going through the Iron Whale to tackle Treasure Knight, and spoiler alert, if you think he's going to be a bit trickier, now that we don't have a shovel to bounce on his head with, you're probably going to be a wee bit disappointed.
Yeah, it wasn't as straightforward, of course, as with Shovel Knight when he's taking on Treasure Knight. But Treasure Knight is still a complete, absolute fucking joke. So mostly I'm interested in this video is talking about, like, the stage and how, what was your thoughts? Like, how do you feel it compared when playing through it as Shovel Knight?
In some ways it's actually easier, much like with the boss himself. In some ways it's a little bit more fiddly. One area in particular that stands out for me is, the mini-boss, the big old anglerfish dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's because there's like a load of small jumps you have to make and whatnot. It's probably because I relied on the float burst so much, falling down slowly. I think in that instance, just going with the regular burst or something similar would have helped me better, but, I digress. How did you fare in the Iron Whale?
Well, I noticed something, this level in particular has reminded me about, like, a particular quirk about, like, Plague Knight's gameplay, in that, he's more reliant when he has the ability to get in the air and attack things below him.
Oh, yeah.
When you get to particular stages, the one that we all are talking about, where you have to face enemies straight on or above you, it gets significantly tougher. Treasure Knight doesn't really have that problem. I would say the anglerfish did give me some trouble because of the fact that even though you have that downward attack that you can do, it's still a lot about maneuverability. Really, I feel when you're playing as Plague Knight, if you can master his maneuverability and you know how to get in and out of trouble while aiming your weapon, because it's not so straightforward, you tend to do a lot better. And like over time, I got used to it. I adapted thanks to particular bursts, the float bursts, like casings and things like that. But really, depending on like the particular kind of power-up, it can help in situations. Like, I love, watching this now, I love how you're getting a lot of great mileage out of the Big Bomb. I never used the Big Bomb, but it's actually making me reconsider using it if I ever revisit Plague of Shadows.
Well, the thing with Plague Knight is, unlike Shovel Knight, he doesn't really have like a straightforward horizontal attack for the most part. He doesn't have one that goes like straight down, like a shovel swipe or a shovel drop. He mostly does diagonal left or diagonal the other left. Sorry, I momentarily lost track of all directions, but you get what I'm trying to say here. And the big boom / bomb, it just works great for throwing it above you. I got so much mileage out of this thing.
Speaking of the Big Bomb, I guess I'd have to ask you this one, and then I can answer it, of course. What would you say is probably like the casing and like the fuse and the powder you got the most mileage out? Well, we know that, but what about the one you would say is probably the least mileage, the one you think is probably the worst?
Well, the Big Boom is an Arcana, so you asking me about that, or, Plague Knight's, main upgrades?
The main upgrades, so, the bombs you can make by putting together all the three pieces.
Read out the casings for me, please.
Okay. I've got it here, thankfully. Okay, we'll start with the casings, we'll do fuse next. Casing, you have bounce casing, lob casing, float, orbit, drop, and whirl. I can tell you straight up, I never really got a lot of mileage out of float. I tried it like one time against a particular boss, which I keep dancing around the name of, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Never really hit anything with that. I don't really like lob. I just preferred a more kind of straightforward down attack, you know what I'm saying?
So these are all casings, right?
Yes.
I stuck with the regular one, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like, nothing wrong with something that works and is effective. Okay. Like, in terms of fuses, well, we know the fuse, no, that's the powder, never mind. The fuses, you said how long it takes for stuff to explode. Like, you get the standard, the long fuse, which takes a while, the quick fuse, sentry fuse, which actually does, like, a heat-seeking attack, the remote fuse that lets you set bombs detonate it, and then the impact fuse, which just explodes on contact. And I believe when I got that one, I just kind of ran with it, because I felt it was the best fuse for my money.
I think, again, I stuck with vanilla, but at the time of this recording, I'm, like, right at the final boss, so I may switch to impact. I feel that'll give me some bang for my buck.
Okay, and powder, well, we know the powder you're using, the cluster, where it just kind of, the component, I'm sorry, where it throws it in and makes a bigger explosion.
Yeah, cluster's what you want me to use, and don't worry, I eventually, changed to the Church of the Cluster. It is pretty goddamn fantastic.
I used Cluster for the longest time, but the reason I switched over to Sparkler was because it had a good area of damage effect, and the rate of fire was, like, way faster.
Yep.
So I was able to throw out more shit, and again, it was very helpful on the boss, that he who must not be named. My final loadout was Standard Fuse, Bounce Casing, and, no, not Bounce Casing, I'm sorry, Impact Fuse, Bounce Casing, the normal one, and Sparkler Powder, and I felt that got me the most bang for my buck.
So yeah, there's just like a world of choice compared to Shovel Knight's campaign, where it's like, do I tackle stuff normally, or do I use one of my relics? And I really appreciate that, because we are essentially going through the same levels, again, with some bonus areas, like you see here. This is Plague Knight specific. So it just gives a little wrinkle or two new to the experience, and it makes it that much more fresh, I feel.
You know, I have to say, I've, gone back and seen some of these on YouTube, because as you know, I've got to hear myself talk, I'm sorry. And, like, I've been looking at the comments for some of these, and, some people have mentioned stuff like, I get really kind of, OCD about the coins that you miss sometimes, and I totally get you guys. Like, I was kind of the same way. And also, like, another thing is that you're not actually using the tonics as well as you could have, I mean, as often, but the thing is, like you said in the comment, remember that he does, like, a lot of takes of each stage.
Oh,
so at this point, he's memorized it pretty much to where he doesn't really need to use tonics that much.
Well, it's not just the fact that I've gone through it so many times, it's kind of etched itself into my memory, it's just that, why, really? There's, like, so much, like, health pickups you can find. I don't really ever feel the need to quaff a tonic, because what I kind of forgot, or, it just slipped my mind, I guess, is that not only does it give you an extra pip, it can also give you a pip back of your normal health as well.
Yeah, that's true. So, really timely use of the tonics is essential if you're, like, going through the game for the first time and you want to make sure everything's in order.
Don't worry though, for those of you annoyed with my lack of tonic usage, there is one particular boss where I am forced to quaff so many, I think I might get tonic poisoning. Now
that I see Chester here, I remember how fast you kind of gone through that anglerfish, and I had a little bit of trouble with that guy because of the fact that, Plague Knight has to be so high up in the air. With Shovel Knight, once you know the shovel drop, of course, he can be easier, although except for the fact that you have to deal with the pips, his charge attacks, things like that.
Now this is one Arcana that I didn't really make much use of in my initial run of the game. Good old Tom actually playing video games outside of comms, amazing, I know. But I got a lot of mileage out of it in this playthrough, and it saved my bacon more than once.
I mean, like, there are a few areas that you can access by using the VAT, and I believe in, like, if I recall correctly, in, like, the last area, like, I pulled out the VAT to get over some, like, tricky jumps and kind of jump through, like, the crushy areas real fast, and it was actually very helpful, so I'm pretty glad for that.
Oh, good old leech liquid. It doesn't matter if I take a hit or two, it will all balance out.
One nice thing about Plague Knight is that because of his bombs, he's much more equipped to deal with those motherfuckers, because he can keep them at a safe distance, and, you don't have to really engage them up close where they can also throw, like, anchors at you.
These things haven't changed. Who the hell comes up with missile platforms?
Treasure Knight, I guess. I mean, he is in a giant submarine. I guess you gotta make it interesting. Well, what's more interesting than living inside a yellow submarine? Let's think about this.
Well, isn't the Iron Whale, like, grey? At least from what we can see from the outside.
It's grey, yes, but I wanted to make a Beatles reference. Come on.
Okay, you're American. You don't get to make those.
Sure I do. The Beatles has had significant cultural impact here in America.
Okay, Captain Wikipedia, calm it down.
Well, I do have the Shovel Knight wiki, so at the very least, I'm Captain Shovel Knight Wikipedia.
There you go.
Not really a great superpower, but oh well, it makes the commentary better, I guess.
It's like on that website where you can just, like, click on the link and it will give you a random superpower from the wiki. I always get the shit ones.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would be the kind of guy who, he gets hit with, like, the mutant gene, his mutant gene activates, and I'd get, like, oyster physiology or something like that.
I think you're born with the mutant gene, mate. Learn up on your X-Man lore, please.
Well, I mean, it's been a while. I mean, like, they haven't really... The last thing I saw that was X-Men related was, like, Deadpool, and there was, like, one mention of it. And, like, Deadpool, of course, was, in the movie, they kick-started his gene, and that's how he got the powers, instead of the whole Weapon X program thing.
Damn, that was a good movie.
that was a really good movie. I was surprised. I thought it was going to suck because I've seen Daniel Way write Deadpool, but I think they got like different guys for the movie, and it's just so much better. It had actually less fourth wall breaking than I was expecting.
Well, you know, Ryan Reynolds, he loves that role. And why exactly are we talking about Deadpool in a fucking Shovel Knight playing a Shadows Let's Play? Well, because we're not at the boss yet, so I can't shit-talk the guy himself, that's why.
We've done this area before, but of course we get the interesting Plague Knight wrinkles and the exclusive area back there, which was pretty good.
There's a kind of, I'm not exactly sure what kind of dissonance it is, but you saw the Purple Knight fall through the hole and basically explode and die, when it's not actually a pit of death at all.
Yeah, that's a thing, and like, they replicated it from like earlier NES games. Like, they would have a tendency to despawn things that fell off of the screen. That's why with some particular glitches, you know, you can like go through particular areas, and if you like get off screen and despawn, you can end up, you can either kill yourself or you can end up being teleported to other areas because of the way the game is programmed, things like that.
Oh yeah, don't need it, but I'm gonna eat it anyway.
Underwater turkey. Sounds fantastic, he lied.
Alright, give us your spiel. Kind of cordial, I can dig it.
Well, no, he's still kind of a prick when you think about it.
He's the most, like, business-like and straightforward so far, though, and that I can appreciate.
That's true, because the fucker certainly can't fight worth a damn.
So I don't know why they made him so easy, and this is like one of the only times you'll ever get to see me be egotistical about being able to beat a boss, because even in Shovel Knight's thing, I beat him with like a few pips left, like I took many a hit, but he just felt easy. I don't know, maybe it's just his pattern.
That's true, but as we've said before, you know, Plague Knight does have an advantage when a Treasure Knight is on the ground because of his bomb effect. Other than that, you really don't have to worry about that much besides just being able to get through over his shockwaves, and you can just kind of hang time up here and just blast him.
Man, I can't imagine how fast I'd take him down if I had the cluster right now. It would be kind of embarrassing, really.
Yeah, well, it's about time you started to see the philosophy that was my cluster strategy until I went over to Sparkler.
Oh, he's almost done.
But like you said, it is kind of odd they made him so easy. You would think that King Knight... Well, King Knight is easy. I don't know. I think I actually find Treasure Knight to be easier than King Knight.
Really?
Yeah, because, like, with a Treasure Knight, he kind of foretells his attacks a lot more slowly. King Knight does have that quick slash that kind of comes in out of nowhere sometimes.
He does bounce around a lot though, whereas Treasure Knight, he just kind of floats. Like a little bit off the ground, but still enough that you can get attacks in.
Yeah, it's very easy to be able to just kind of hit that guy over and over and over, so I guess that's why I think he's easier. Well, can oceans do low blows? I would think they can.
Oh yeah. Don't fuck with the ocean, man. Have you seen some of the shit they've got in there?
Yeah, you see that picture where it kind of lays out that trench? You know, that kind of goes down and it's like black?
Yeah, less about that the better, I think. Fuck the Discovery Channel for bringing all this to light, ironically.
Yeah, the ocean is fucked up, man.
Alright, what have we got here? We still need a few more Cypher coins before we can get the last lot of stuff, I believe.
Let me look at some of the other powders and things like that. The Tracer powder does like wall climbing flames, not really that great. I think I went with Cascade Power for a little bit before I got Cluster. I don't know, I just mostly remember blowing everything up with huge explosions as I am wont to do when I'm Plague Knight.
Just gonna test out the Bullet Burst here. Yeah, not bad I guess.
Yeah, I much prefer the maneuverability that Float Burst gets me. I guess because, you know, I was kind of craving that maneuverability that Shovel Knight got, which is why I kind of really went towards the Float Burst so readily, because I could plan jumps more on the fly better.
I wonder how they're gonna balance Spectre Knight in his campaign, and like what kind of special weapons he'll get, because, you know, Shovel Knight has his relics, Plague Knight has his Arcana. What will friggin' Spectre Knight get?
I think he's gonna get, like, summons. Like, that would be a neat idea, because he can, like, make, like, zombies and stuff in his boss fight. Yeah, if he gets, like, different summons, that would be neat. And I know from what I've read, he has, like, dashing slashes as kind of his main mobility thing. So, that'll be really interesting to see how that comes out. Yeah, that's coming out before King Knight. Okay. really, really wonder what his hair looks like. If it's like long and luxurious locks, or is it like Severus Snape? Is it like greasy and shit?
Ah, Mr. Shovel Knight, our new celebrity.
That's not the best Plague Knight voice I've heard. I don't know. I'm not really sure how he should sound now that I think about it. Like I kind of imagine with Plague Knight, he's kind of like that little diminutive cackling kind of the guy, sort of.
Oh my god,
like
he's Fawful, yes.
Oh, Fawful, yeah, that would actually be kind of a good idea. I mean, the English would be significantly better, but I would assume those two would be voiced by the same guy. Now I gotta think of a voice actor for the man.
Can I be real with you for a second?
You may.
I didn't care for Fawful after Superstar Saga.
You know what? I kind of agree. It's just like... I mean, like, I've had my quibbles with Bowser's Inside Story. I like that he was the villain. Like, I thought he did some good stuff, but I just don't think his dialogue was as good, but that's just me.
I felt it was a bit too on the nose. Like, it was just quirky enough in Superstar Saga. Also, I don't really like him as, you know, the final boss. I don't like playing as Bowser. Other than that, Bowser's Inside Story is pretty good. Am I just speaking to myself over here?
Hey, I do that all the time. You'll get used to it. I'm not sure that's how Harvard works, but you can try.
Yeah, take Plague Knight's essence, then you can make sick fool's gold all day. Oh yeah, puns for days!
Well, that's not a string, that's a whip. That's actually completely different. You're gonna attack me with that, aren't you?
Whatever, just blow the shit out of him. I think he's much easier with Plague Knight as opposed to Shovel Knight.
I didn't really have too much trouble with him as Plague Knight. The bombs were, of course, a good effect, although I really did kind of miss the shovel drop when he was kind of on the ground. And, you know, I even like to evaluate, like, you know, his standard, like, straight shovel attack I felt was helpful for dealing with bats. Plague Knight doesn't have that, obviously, so you just play defensive as usual.
That's why I don't need the bullet burst or whatever it's called, by the way, because with, is it the Cascade or Component? I think it's Component.
Yeah, the component is the one you're using.
Yeah, it sends out bullets in 4 directions anyway, so I'll stick with the float burst that works. Okay, so chronologically, this comes after he fights Shovel Knight. I was just so stupid, I didn't know how to express myself without whipping people.
Yeah, I didn't want to hurt nobody, that's why I carried around a giant rope.
Yes! Yes!
This I actually kind of liked. You can actually bring him into, like, your little organization, and he becomes an NPC. And, like, you can, like, talk to him and stuff. I actually really like that for this guy, and you know I'm not a huge fan of the secret bosses, so that was pretty neat.
What's cool is, you know how the Magicist can, like, sell you regular tonics and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
He can be like, oh, boss, you shouldn't need to pay for those, what the fuck? Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's like, you shouldn't need to pay for those, and he gives you, like, a full stock or whatever.
Yeah, he straight up steals them, which is why I immediately warmed up to the guy when I recruited him.
Well, maybe it will come back to bite me in the ass, but for now, it's all shits and giggles.
Well, Plague Knight don't fucking care. He'll do whatever he wants.
Alright, bonus stage time.
Yeah, you always gotta watch out for crabs in these kind of areas.
I think there would be hermit crabs, wouldn't there?
Something like that, I don't know. I don't ask hermit crabs questions. What are you?
What do you think I am? Some kind of astronomer? Get out of here.
And again, like with Treasure Knight, his little extra gem area is really not that hard. I'm not sure why they got such, like, easy shit at this point in the game. Okay, well, his stage is a little challenging, but, you know, the rest of it, not really. Just like a cakewalk, dude.
I'm trying to think of, like, the difficulty curve, you know, for both campaigns. And, you know, I think it's mostly pretty on point. It doesn't spike until you reach, like, I would say Polar Knight. And, oh, goody, I'm looking forward to talking over that one.
I never really had problems with the difficulty of Plague of Shadow as a whole. It felt fair, you know, like, I didn't think it was, like, the hard mode, quote-unquote. Really, it's just getting used to his mobility, and once you do that in, like, the first stage, it's really not that bad.
I'm surprised there wasn't, like, an octopus mini-boss in Treasure Knight's stage, because they kind of foreshadow the tentacles and everywhere, then bada-boom, out of nowhere, anglerfish.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like a curveball. You never really expect it.
Yeah. We never expect a lot of things in life. But here's one thing you can expect, a new part of Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows, next time when we take on Mole Knight. Bye for now.